All right. Well, again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the University of Arizona Global Campus 2025 Teaching and Learning Conference, the Science and Soul of the Learning Organization. TLC is a vehicle for meaningful discourse about the intersections among learning theory, teaching practice, instructional technology, and the collective faculty and student experience that those concepts create. My name is Haley Sampson, and I serve UAGC as the chair of the annual Teaching and Learning Conference. I want to begin by thanking the TLC Steering Committee for their support and guidance. The steering committee represents the voices of staff, faculty, and students, ensuring that TLC reflects the institutional goals and mission. TLC Steering Committee, please raise your virtual hand. And everyone, if you see these folks in sessions later today or in the discussion boards in our conference portal, please give them a pat on the back. This year's conference theme asks, how do organizations ignite a culture of continuous learning, one that empowers every member to grow and actively shape the organization's future? Peter Senge is an American systems scientist and a senior lecturer at the MIT Sloan School of Management. His profound work has had an influence on leadership, education, and organizational development, particularly in the areas of continuous learning and on the theme for this year's TLC conference. As Senge shares, the most powerful experience comes, or powerful learning comes from direct experience. So in the true TLC spirit, we are dedicating this opening session to an exercise that will not only kick off our community building, but will also allow us to construct conference learning outcomes together through our various experiences. First, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Gary Packard, Senior Vice Provost of Online Initiatives, who will share his insights on empowering every member, staff, faculty, students, and constituents to grow by examining the interconnectivity of our systems and the ingrained assumptions that influence our understanding of the world, all of which will impact our capacity to the future. Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Haley and Teresa, for inviting me, and happy and honored to be kicking us off for today. So, I love the title and theme of this year's conference. It really resonates with me as for those of you who don't know, as a social developmental psychologist, which means I'm very interested in how environments, how systems actually interplay with people to create our developmental trajectories in life. And that's really captured in the idea of science, soul, and learning kind of together as a combination. There's a very scientific part to what we do when it comes to education. Some of that science is baked into our technologies that we use as an online organization, or whether we're using technology in person. Some of that's baked into the science of what is education and how do people learn, and cognitive behavior, and the things that really we think about when we think about teaching and learning. But that science without the soul becomes rather cold. How does that science really interact with our belief systems, our passion? We talked about that in our all hands meeting earlier today for online initiatives about how if we want to be the best at something, we have to have it connected to something we're passionate about and something we believe in. And that's really the soul of learning as you think about it. And the idea of learning in and of itself. Learning means growth. Learning means development. It's something as a developmental psychologist that is always on my mind, and how I see the world as an opportunity for change, an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for development. And TLC certainly fits that. And what I love about this is the systems approach to it, is that we're really not looking at it as here's a skill set that you can personally use, but it's how do you use that skill set in partnership with the people around you to actually create the right ecosystem for students. It reminds me, I'm going to put a link in the chat for those of you not familiar, but if you've been in education for a while, you have some familiarity probably with Yuri Bronfenbrenner's work. Yuri is one of my heroes of education. He's right up there with Lev Vygotsky and Piaget and all of the other kind of learning developmentalists that are out there. And there is if I can get it to load for you, there we go. Cornell University actually has the Yuri Bronfenbrenner Center for Translational Research, and they have a really nice bio of Yuri Bronfenbrenner if you're interested in his work. But the essence of Bronfenbrenner's work is the idea of social ecology, or how do things work within embedded systems. So if you think of how we work together, we have multiple systems that we're embedded with. If we're in the middle of a set of concentric circle, we have a microsystem around us. Those are our direct contacts, people we work with every day, immediate family members, people who have a direct influence on our life. And as a teacher or an educator or a staff member, it might be your supervisor, it might be a colleague, it might be somebody at home. It's whatever that kind of immediate context. Around that sits a macro system. That's this kind of a system. It's the kinds of things that are in your immediate context that are more organizationally developed. You know, the unit you're in, the university you work with, the neighborhood you live in, the church you go to, the synagogue you go to, the community center you go to, wherever your social ecology sits, kind of internal. That all sits in kind of other systems, such as the time we live in. There's a time component to this, or the political system that we live in. We can all agree, I think, that these are politically challenging times, no matter where you sit on the political spectrum. It's difficult. There's lack of compromise. We're very divided as a nation, and that has an effect on all of us. And so there's these embedded systems that we live in. How we navigate those systems are really what creates the influence in our trajectories as we grow as people. So if we want to grow as a group of education experts, whether you're a staff member, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a teacher, whatever role that you play in the education ecosystem, we all have a role that interacts with multiple levels of that system on a regular basis. And it's a reciprocal interaction. So you have influence on the system as much as the system has influence on you. So participation in TLC is really an opportunity to kind of lean into and figure out, how do I interact better with this system so I can serve these students better and help them succeed. And as you look forward to the opening exercise that Haley was talking about, and what's going to happen here is really kind of focusing into what's going to happen after those 3 days. And it's that spirit of collaborative activity that you really want to build into your experience at TLC. This is not a passive conference, I've learned. It's not one you just sit there and listen to speakers. It's interactive. It has roles for you to play. It has opportunities for you to reflect and learn. And how you engage with this conference is really important, because you will influence the conference as much as the conference will influence you as you think that through. So I hope that you will see TLC as a living, breathing entity, something you can engage with. Technology's kind of become that for us, right? And we think about how you engage with AI or how you engage with automation. It becomes, how do I work back and forth with these really inorganic parts of my reality and make them a part of my team? And that's what TLC, it's part of our team. It's part of our opportunity to share knowledge, to have fun. There's a lot of good time and smiles and laughter that I know what happened, but most importantly, to figure out how we use what we take out of this conference to spurs more student success and help one more student succeed when we're done with our work together. So thank you for joining this. Haley and team, thank you for putting this all together. I'm so excited by what's going to unfold. I wish I had the capability to put my entire calendar aside for the next 3 days and join you full up, but I will pop in and out as I'm able. And I look forward to hearing all about the great work you all are doing. So well done.
Thank you so much, Gary. We appreciate you getting us primed for, as you said, that interactivity and learning that TLC is known for. So as Gary shared, conferences are critical learning experiences for growth. And so TLC is continuing on in the social constructivist tradition that we started last year by co-constructing conference learning outcomes during this kickoff session. First, how it works. And I see that several folks have already gotten started, so I think that we're well on our way. But please scan the QR code displayed on the screen with your phone, or open a new browser on your computer and go to the website shared at the top of the screen. Once you have the application open, you click join, and I don't believe it's necessary to enter your name or email. I think you can skip past that. So as I move through our exercises, if you're on your phone, please click next slide. If you are using a new browser window, your screen will follow along. So we are going to work through several simple yet thought-provoking exercises that will culminate in our collectively identifying 3 TLC 2025 conference learning outcomes. First, I invite you to reflect on these 5 disciplines, again, driven by the research of Peter Senge. Systems thinking, which Gary spoke about, mental models, shared vision, personal mastery, and team learning, all of which relate to continuous learning and served as tracks for TLC 2025. Please take a moment to indicate which of these disciplines are most pertinent to your learning goals for continuous improvement. All right, so we have a tie for second place so far with systems thinking and mental models. We'll give everyone just a few more seconds to vote and see if we can break that tie there. Otherwise, I'll just, system thinking is bumping up a little bit. Okay, so we have identified 2 topics. First, systems thinking. Let me make myself a note. And mental models and team learning are, we're going to go with mental models as our second topic. Let me make myself a note. That TLC attendees are most focused on. Now let's think about them a little more closely through the lens of Bloom's taxonomy. Likely many of you are familiar with Bloom's, but to refresh everyone's understanding, Bloom's is a framework that helps teachers and learners identify levels of competence with skills or concepts. Bloom's verbs are actions that signal those levels, and they comprise a hierarchy that ranges from lower order to higher order thinking. For example, from recalling a fact in the remember level of Bloom's framework to creating original work in the create level of Bloom's. So in our second exercise, we invite you to use Bloom's hierarchy to reflect on your level of competence with the 2 topics we've identified together. Again, those are Senge's disciplines of systems thinking and mental models. And to share with us now, use this QR code, or if you're on your web browser, to indicate which Bloom's level you are for the first topic. The first topic is Senge's systems thinking discipline. And you'll see the Bloom's hierarchy in the background there to help guide you a bit. All right, everyone. Seems that we are landing mostly in the remember level, which means we can recall facts and basic concepts about systems thinking. Let's give it about a few more seconds. Okay, let's stick with remember for our current competency level for topic number 1, systems thinking. Second verse, same as the first. Please share your current level of the current level of your understanding for topic number 2, which was Senge's discipline, mental models. So far, we are at remember. Ooh, if someone is in the create level of mental models, I would love to have a conversation with you later this week. I think I could learn a lot from you. All right, just a few more seconds, but it looks like, again, we are squarely in the remember level, which is recalling facts and basic concepts about the mental models discipline based on Peter Senge's research. All right. So next, please share an example using the Bloom's verbs, if you so desire, to create an example of a learning outcome related to systems thinking, our first topic, designed to improve our learning to the next level. So you will remember no pun intended, that we were at the remember level on Bloom's taxonomy for both topics, systems thinking and for mental models. So please share an example of a learning outcome that would help us move to the understand level in Bloom's taxonomy related to the systems thinking discipline. And so we are looking to move our learning from recalling facts to explaining ideas or concepts. I'm going to check the chat real briefly, make sure we're good there. Okay. As you submit an example of a learning outcome, you can then vote by giving which is shown on your screen a thumbs up. And that is how we will select our learning outcomes. So what sort of action do you hope to be able to perform in the explain level of Bloom's taxonomy as related to systems thinking by the end of this conference? I see a few examples floating in, so please start to vote on examples. You should be able to give things a thumbs up now. We have a few votes for define and describe systems thinking. We have more votes for explain how systems thinking applies to my daily role. Love the application approach to that. Okay, everyone, in the interest of time, we are going to run with our first conference learning outcome will be explain how systems thinking applies to my daily role. All right. Again, second verse, same as the first. Please share an example of a learning outcome related to topic number 2, which if you will recall was mental models. And use Bloom's verbs. The background image is there to help you. We said as a TLC community, we are currently in the remember level of on Bloom's taxonomy as related to Senge's discipline of mental models. And so what sort of action do you hope to be able to perform on this identified mental models competency by the end of this conference? If we could move one level from recall to explain, for example, or maybe maybe we would like to jump to apply as well. I see lots of typing. And then as our examples come in, we will review these responses again and we'll vote by giving the examples. Oh, lots. Okay. Lots of examples. Okay, let's go ahead and vote. I see at least 9 different options on my screen here. I might be able to, oh, there's several. So you can use this down arrow to scroll through those. We have explain ideas and concepts, identify mental models, creating barriers to continuous improvement, explain how mental models influence thinking and behavior. Give it just a few more moments. Okay, let's take a look at our result. Thank you all for jumping in. 46 people have voted so far. Okay, we have selected our second learning outcome of TLC 2025, which is explain how mental models influence thinking and behavior. We have one last exercise to walk through, and that is to co-create a learning outcome that indicates how we will build a learning community over the next 3 days. So for a final time, let's go back to Bloom's and draft and vote on a learning community learning outcome. As before, you can share, you can thumbs up as people share examples of learning outcomes, because as Gary shared with us, TLC is one of the systems, right, that we function within, and that impacts our learning. And so what is our collective goal as a learning community for our learning over the next 3 days? Attendees will build meaningful connections within the TLC community to foster collaboration, shared learning, and continued professional development. I'm curious if anyone has used AI and asked it this question and then gave whatever AI tool you're using the link to the TLC website, which will give the AI agent information about the conference theme. Bill is saying apply in situations to improve student success. Carl, thank you. Attendees will engage meaningful with the TLC learning community by sharing insights and collaborating across disciplines and contributing to ongoing dialogue. Okay, I'm loving again the daily practice, the application to the daily practice, and tap into the collective wisdom of the community. That sounds like an excellent learning opportunity there. All right, everyone. I'm going to move us on to voting. Everyone go ahead and vote. You can scroll up and down on your screen. I don't want to give anyone motion sickness, but you can scroll a little bit and start voting. Now, these collective learning outcomes will be posted in our conference portal for continued discussion, input, and reflection, and we will revisit these on day 3 of our conference at the closing session. Okay, we'll give everyone just a couple more seconds to vote on the third and final TLC learning objective, learning outcome. Let's see where we're at. All right, Stephanie, thank you for sharing this outcome of attendees will tap into the collective wisdom of the community to generate new insights and practical actions they can apply in their own work. Over the years, so everyone, that concludes our exercise. Thank you so much for your contributions. We have identified our 3 learning outcomes, and now I encourage you to engage to achieve the learning outcomes related to creating connection in TLC by creating or participating in the discussion boards within our conference portal. You can schedule virtual meetups. I know that I checked that out this morning, and there were at least 3 virtual meetups already scheduled. Everyone can also get to know one another by participating in icebreakers and completing session polls. All right, I want to check the chat real quickly and make sure we're good to go there. Teresa, is there anything in the chat that I need
No,
to?
just some folks excited to get going in sessions.
Wonderful. Well, as we know, and as Becky Campbell mentioned at the beginning of our session, TLC has grown over the last decade plus from an internal venue for sharing departmental updates and works in progress to an open access virtual conference that engages more than 800 teachers and learners across industries, across the United States and around the world. So this means that you have a very valuable opportunity in front of you to learn from one another, to make connections that support your current or future work. And also, I'm going to throw out a little bit of a challenge, which is to connect with and welcome 10 people into your professional network so that the learning can continue even after TLC concludes. Next, I encourage you to join the spotlight session this afternoon. Everyone Wins Continuous Improvement in the Classroom at 1 p.m. Pacific time. where we will learn more about continuous improvement in higher education from Dr. Bill Balzer, Vice President Emeritus of Faculty Affairs and Strategic Initiatives from Bowling Green State University, and his co-author, Dr. Vincent Weigel, Professor of Lean and World-Class Performance at Han University of Applied Science in the Netherlands. It will be a late evening for Dr. Weigel. Finally, before you join your next session, a few housekeeping items. I again encourage you to use the conference platform to create your agenda, find your session links, and network with other attendees. Conference attendees will have access to the conference portal through February of 2026, so take advantage of that resource. If you have any accessibility needs, you can contact TLC at uagc.edu for support. All right, everyone, thank you for engaging in our session today. Our conference is off to a great start because of your efforts. Please give each other a big round of applause for your work this morning. It's time to head to your first TLC session. I hope you all go and have some fun.